Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Babington-Ashaye. You're watching Shape the World. This is a series of open conversations for people like you and me. And we talk about local and global issues with leaders. And today we have a very special leader with us. Her Excellency, President Ameenah Gurib Fakim, the President of Mauritius. And she's agreed to join us and to take your questions. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so if you're just joining, this is the World Economic Forum. We believe in responsive leadership. We believe that leaders should be accessible, should be open, and should be frank with your people. And this is what Shape the World is all about. Today we have Her Excellency, the President of Mauritius, and you should post your questions and she will respond in an open and frank way. Now, to structure this, we're going to take questions in 3 blocks, if that's okay. So 3 blocks, let's be disciplined. The first block is Mauritius. Anything you want to say about Mauritius, please post in the feed. Her Excellency will respond. The second block is Africa and the world. And the third block is personal. Hi, Ashan, thank you for joining. Okay, I can see we have some experts here. So you know how it works. If you post in the feed, your question gets asked. If you don't post anything, we have no conversation. So we're trusting you. That's what responsive leadership is about. All right, you're in the driver's seat. Now, while we wait for your comments to come in, and hello, Rufat, and hi, MD. Excellent stuff. Let's go first to Her Excellency. And I want to ask a first question, Your Excellency. First of all, would you like to say hello to the...
Hello. So I hope we'll have a wonderful exchange this afternoon. Because it means a lot to me to be exchanging with the youth as you're the future of tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we have many more people who've just joined. Now, we're live with Her Excellency, the President of Mauritius. And if I may say so myself, in your own words, you've had 3 lives so far.
That's right.
So the first life is as an academic. The second life is as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And the third life is now as a head of state. Now, none of us watching this is probably a head of state, but hopefully you can feel a connection. We have maybe some academics in there, and we have some entrepreneurs in there. But can you tell us, in this third life you live, what does it feel like to be a head of state?
Well, first of all, I hope I'll be like the cat. I'll have many more.
Absolutely. Yes.
To be head of state, as you know, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility in as much as, you have to provide certain direction, certain leadership, so that the youth of tomorrow, their faith will be restored in leaders, their faith will be restored in women, and the faith will be restored in people who have no political background like myself, who's here at the helm of the country. And we have this huge responsibility to provide that kind of direction that the young people are looking for. So you've mentioned a very important word, which is honesty. You've mentioned the word in the conversation we were having earlier on in terms of integrity. Yes. And I think these are no longer words that we can take for granted. I think this is precisely the kind of leadership that young people expect from people of my generation. And we have this responsibility to make it work, and so that the young people can have the trust back in our institutions.
Thank you very much. All right, we have another 50 people who just joined. Welcome. This is the World Economic Forum, bringing you Shape the World. We are live with the President of Mauritius, President Ameenah Gurib Fakim. She's taking your questions. We're doing 3 chunks. First, we do Mauritius, Africa and the world, and then we get personal. Now, we're going to get started. I can see the first question there from Dinesh. Now, friends, if you love what you're watching, please hit that share button. I can see the likes. Thank you for the love. Hit the share button. Let's get some more people listening to Her Excellency. Dinesh, you get the first question. Dinesh wants to know, we're focused on Mauritius, how are you keeping your country business or investor friendly?
Well, we are at a crossroad in Mauritius. We've had many waves of development since independence in 1968. The first wave was to start, kind of industrialization, because this was done also but the fact that Mauritius made education free in 1976. So with an educated population, we could start with manufacturing maybe at a lower level.
Yep.
Then we started diversifying the country and went on to develop the finance sector. And then came the wave of IT revolution. So right now we are at a crossroad. How to get Mauritius out of this middle income trap, how to get into this middle growth, because we are targeting something like 3.5% next year in terms of growth, but we would like to get up to 5%. And this demands, of course, new thinking, new paradigm, new pillars on which the economy can fire. So we are hoping that we'll bring in more knowledge economy, we'll bring in more innovation, we'll bring in the biotech, we'll bring in the financial services. So all these are work in progress as far as we're concerned right now.
All right, thank you very much. Keep your questions coming in. That was a great question, Dinesh. Now, for those of us who don't know, Mauritius is actually for the better part of a decade being the #1 most competitive country in Africa. That's right. That means if you want to do anything in Africa, this is the place to come. And I'm feeling some of that. So great question, Dinesh. Now, we're talking Mauritius, so stay with us. And then we're going to talk about Africa and the world. And then we're going to get personal. So please be patient. Mauritius. We have another question here from Henry. Henry Mooney. Hi, Henry. Henry wants to know, how are you working towards sustainable development in an environmental sense?
Sustainable development in Mauritius has been practiced for a long time. In as much as we are a small island, and in a small island we have to be mindful of the environment, especially as Mauritius has for many years provided a service which is the tourism sector. So when we have tourism as the main component, adding so many points on our economy, we need to be very careful as how to keep the pristine beaches and, of course, the environment free, clean, and make it work, because we are providing for the tourism sector. Having said this, sustainable development is a very, very wide encompassing word. Sustainable development for me is also about health. Sustainable development is about access to food security, is about, there are so many things which come under the label of sustainable development. And right now, as we speak, we are talking about a very important issue which will help tackle sustainable development practices with the government having ratified the Paris Accord. And this is so important. It's a landmark, and I think by the end of November, it will become, it will be there. So how does this help us? Government to be able to use this? How can we leverage sustainable development practices into the economy? I mean, this is something that where we'll, of course, get the youth on board to help us. New technology, embracing new ideas, so as to make it happen for our countries.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We are live in Port Louis with Her Excellency, the President of Mauritius. Please keep your questions coming in. I have to do a few shout-outs. Hi, Baggers in Ecuador. Hi, Eduardo in USA. Please keep the love coming. If you like what you're watching, please share. Now, Budisa, since we're focused on Mauritius, Budisa's asked a seemingly simple question. What is the first language of Mauritius? Thank you, Budisa.
Well, we have a lingua franca, which is the Creole, but as per our constitution, we speak both English and French. And having said this, for 1.2 million population, there are spoken 14 languages in this country by virtue of the diversity of the people.
Wow.
So if you want immersion, as we call it, please come to Mauritius.
All right, you have an invitation from Her Excellency, and you can cash that in at customs. Make sure you save a copy of this recording. All right, Guillermo. Hi, Guillermo. Great question. What's your main challenge to generate sustainable growth, he said, but I guess we can expand that. Just the main challenge for growth. What's Mauritius facing right now as the main challenge?
We are a small country, but we are strategically placed in the Indian Ocean. So we are trying to leverage our position, the star and key, as Mauritius has been referred to be the bridge between Asia and Africa. And by leveraging this, we will show to the world that size doesn't matter. Positioning, thinking, the process, and of course having all these very strong pillars on which the economy is already firing, but adding more pillars so that we do into sustainable development, we do into sustainable practices, and we show the world that Mauritius, with the diversity that we have, we should be able to make it, because we have also shown the world that Mauritius, even though it's a very diverse country, is a very peaceful country, and where diversity is not an issue for division, but diversity is there to reinforce each other, and we do not want to make fear a business.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So basically, what you've called the challenge is using these as, if you like, the assets
Of our people.
Fantastic. All right, people, are we ready to switch? Do you have any more pressing questions on Mauritius? I can see a lot of personal questions. For those who've just joined, and we have many more, we're discussing Mauritius, then we're going to switch to Africa and the world, and then we're going to get personal. So please be patient. Lizzie and a few others, I can see your personal questions. I'm not ignoring you, just please be patient. Now, do you have any more questions? Any more questions about Mauritius? Raphael has an interesting one. What can Mauritius do to help tourism in Madagascar? Interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
We can share, we are both island countries, but Madagascar, of course, the size of the place. So whatever good practices we have developed in the tourism industry, we can share with our neighbors. And this is something that I would make a plea with other island nations to share good practices with us, because we will not live long enough or have enough time, especially in the light of climate change, to be able to make the mistakes and learn from our mistakes. So we need to learn from our friends. We can share the good practices with Madagascar, but Madagascar is a different dynamic altogether, because it's such a big country and such a diverse country as well. But whatever we can share, we would be very happy to do so. But already we have a lot going between Mauritius and Madagascar, because we have a lot of investment in Madagascar. So we can leverage our experiences through these companies which are operating out there, and of course make it work for both our countries.
All right, thank you so much. Thomas has a question. Madam President, hi Thomas. What is the correlation between the government's empowerment of her people, we notice the gender, and economic progress?
When people are empowered, and this is, I think, the responsibility of government to empower the people, be it through a society, through, of course, the rule of law, the strength of institutions, having the ability to have a voice, the freedom of expression. These are the fundamentals which will work towards economic empowerment. And all countries that are democratically elected, all governments which are democratically elected, all governments that empower the people, men and women, they give them the necessary freedom. These are countries that will make it economically. So the correlation is there, and all we have to do, be it in Mauritius, be it in Africa, is to ensure that the people are fully empowered to actually take in their hands the destiny and the destiny of their country as well.
All right, thank you very much. I think we're ready to switch. We're talking Mauritius if you just joined, and we've just done a small segment on Mauritius. Thank you so much for your questions. Now we switch to talk about Africa and the world. So please get your questions coming in. The first questions will get asked. Send your questions in. Once we're done with Africa and the world, we will get personal. I know you're waiting. Thank you. We're going to get personal very soon. But please, questions on Africa and the world. Now, while we wait for Africa and the world, I want to thank everybody, because there's lots of love coming in the feed, and you should read the feed later. Lots of people saying they love Mauritius, they love what you're saying. A few people have said they came to Mauritius a few weeks ago or months ago and they loved it. All right, if you love what you're watching, please hit the share button. We want to get more people listening to Her Excellency. Now I'm looking for questions for Africa and the world. Let's go. Questions on Africa and the world, please. Now I saw one, a gentleman, I'll give you a name later, who asked, there we go. Oh, it's a lady, Ameenah? Forgive me. Ameenah is asking, does Britain exiting the EU affect Mauritius trade in any way? This is a great question, Ameenah. Now, from the little research I've done, I understand some 70% of your Mauritius's exports, I believe last year, go to the EU. Now, does Britain exiting the EU affect your trading?
Brexit has not left the EU just yet.
They
haven't articulated Article 50. So right now it's hypothetical.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything on that?
No, but Britain has been a very important trade partner, so we will have to see bilaterally how we can keep on working with them.
All right, fantastic. One of the things I love about the people watching is sometimes they answer each other's questions. So somebody asked you why you got into politics, and this was Khalid. Thank you, Khalid. And Vic responded, she's not in politics. I think, Madam President, you do.
I fully subscribe to this. I'm an accidental president.
All right, we're going to get to personal stuff soon, so hang in there. Okay. Betsho is asking, what is your international relationship with Botswana?
Botswana is a SADC country, and we also a member of the SADC. And we've had a lot of exchanges with Botswana. So Botswana is an important partner within the SADC, for which Mauritius is a member.
Fantastic, thank you. And Mohit is saying thank you. Not many leaders will be so open. So thank you, Mohit, for that. And if you love what you're watching, please hit that share button. Let's get more people up here. All right, we have a few. Abassi, thank you for the question. Abassi is asking, how critical is Africa's role on the world stage?
Africa is one of the only continent, it's the only continent that is becoming young. The median age, I think, is about between 18 to 22. So the workforce, the resources, unfortunately, we always think of Africa as the resources under the ground. For me, the resources of Africa is the youth. And through the youth, if we leverage it now, the resources, the technology, everything, the connectivity, we will see Africa emerge as a powerhouse. But we need to empower, again, the youth with the appropriate tools, but more importantly, empower our institutions. This is something that I always make the case that we are what the institutions are. And if the institutions are strong, we will be strong, and the youth will have something to look up to. So it's our responsibility as guardian of constitution, as guardian of whatever, to build institutions on the continent.
Fantastic. I hope you got your answer to your question. So Africa also as the youngest continent, probably can only play an increasing role on the global stage. Teza, you get the next question. Thank you. Teza is asking, regarding combating corruption, what are your thoughts on how this can be effectively dealt with? And maybe on that point, we polled in one of the largest surveys of young people. It's called the Shapers Survey. Mm-hmm. Check out shaperssurvey.org. We asked young people, 26,000 of them responded, what is the biggest challenge your country is facing? Mm-hmm. And the number one challenge in every world region, it's corruption. Young people have said this is the biggest challenge. It was rated ahead of poverty, ahead of education, ahead of lack of jobs. Mm-hmm. People put corruption as number one. So Teza, your question is on point. Your Excellency, your
corruption is a tax on the poor. And what we find is that wherever there is a corruptee, there is a corrupter. So it's a two-way traffic. So what we'll have to see to it is that people come and speak out against corruption. But again, it's down to each individual to address this. And this is a scourge on economies, it's a scourge on countries, it's a scourge on societies. But each one of us, over and above the politicians, we have our responsibility to actually denounce and to actually speak out against corruption. Because as I said, any corrupt decision taken by any government or any official, it is not the right decision. It would make the country poorer, it would make the institution poorer. So it's our responsibility to come and speak out against corruption.
All right, corruption is a tax on the poor. We have more people joining. Welcome. This is Shape the World, series of open conversations. We are live with Her Excellency, President Ameenah Gurib Fakim, the President of Mauritius, Africa's most competitive country. She's taking your questions, send them in, and if you love what you're watching, share it. We've talked about Mauritius, now we're talking about Africa and the world, and then I promise you we are going to get personal. She's agreed to take some personal questions. I know you're all waiting. Zanele, you get the next question. Zanele would like to know, how can business spur scientific and technological advancement in Africa? Thank you, Zanele.
You know, if you look at the division between the North and the South, I keep saying this division is the science, technology, innovation gap. Now, why? Let's take one example. Let's take a country like South Korea. South Korea came out of the Korean War in late 1950s. And the per capita income at that moment in time was equivalent to an average African country in sub-Saharan Africa. What has happened over 50 years? That's the question we need to ask. The question is, Korea has no resources. Korea had only the human capital, training of the human capital, empowering the human capital through science, technology, innovation. We have seen Korea coming out as a powerhouse, a giant in technology. So I think the answer is there. We need to take ownership of all the tools that we have, but to do this, we need to educate our boys and girls. And again, I have to say boys and girls, because if you reduce 52% of the African population, you will not be able to make progress.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. In the interest of time and due to popular demand, we will now open up for personal questions. You can fire away your personal questions, please. Let's keep them polite, but let's come in with personal questions, and I'll see if I can take some of the earlier ones. Lizzie, I know you were one of the first people with a personal question. See if I can find it. But your personal questions, please keep them coming in right now. All right, Matthew is asking, what inspires you? What inspires you, Your Excellency?
Great people who are selfless, who have given their lives and who have given everything they had in the interests of their country. And there are quite a few around. And of course, we've had very important personalities across the world who have done just this. They have died paupers, but they have died leaving a legacy. So to me, these are my role models.
Okay, Jessica, as a female president, what advice would you give to Hillary Clinton if she wins the elections?
I don't like to give such advices, but I'm sure Hillary must have her own ideas as to what to run it. But I think all of us who are here in this position, we have to think about the legacy we will leave 5 years down the line. And this legacy must be legacy in terms of economic empowerment, in terms of empowerment of the people, and in terms of bettering the lives when we took it and how good it has been at the end of the day. For me, it's all about leaving a legacy.
Thank you so much. All right, I can see lots of love, lots of likes. Please keep them coming. And if you like what you're seeing, please share it. Let's get some more people here. Suleiman, great question. Nice and short and sharp. Can you speak Urdu?
Little bit.
Oh, wow.
Tora, sir.
Okay, I'm sure you understand that, Suleiman. Well, they love that. All right, great question, Suleiman. Let's get your friends up on here. We're looking for personal questions. That's not personal. This is really personal, Budisa. Mm-hmm. All right, Budisa would like to know. Budisa says you look beautiful and healthy and you're glowing. What's your secret?
Stay happy and stay busy.
All right, Budisa, you got a frank question from Her Excellency. All right, let's keep the personal questions coming in, please. Sharaf, I'm sorry, she will not be sending you a free ticket to Mauritius, but you will get excellent treatment when you do come here. I can tell you that. All right, let's get some more personal questions. I'm scrolling down. All right, Josh. Josh would like to know, Your Excellency, what's the biggest challenge you've faced so far?
The biggest challenge is precisely to be a youngish woman.
Wow. That's a shame in the 21st century.
It does matter. Gender is still an issue, unfortunately. But I do not get down, I do not get kind of bogged down by this issue of challenges. If you have your objective, if you have your vision, you will drive it, and irrespective, you'll just get there. And that's all that matters at the end of the day.
All right, so that's the tip. Focus on your objectives, focus on your vision, just get Absolutely. The job done. Yeah. All right. Hi, Rihanna from Pakistan. Hey, I think our friend did get his friends up on here. All right, thank you very much. Matthew would like to know, you people are really personal. What do you do in your spare time? I can't imagine you have much of it.
I am a gardener.
Oh, really?
Yes, I do. I do like my gardening, and I also have a few cats, which I love very much, so I spend some time looking after them, and mostly my plants.
Fantastic. All right, she's loving your questions, so please keep them coming. We are live with Her Excellency, the President of Mauritius. Let's see. Who inspired you? Abba is asking, who inspired you to go against the odds to become who you are?
You'd be surprised, but if I will tell you that my hero remains my father. And he was the one who has been selfless in terms of initially paying for my education and also giving me the freedom to say yes. The freedom is not to say no. The freedom is to say yes. And he's always said, you have the choice, so yes. So he's my hero.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for your questions. This is a great questions. Now, Morad wants to know, what is your favorite book?
Right now, I'm reading Joe Stiglitz's The Great Divide. But before that, there's a book that all of us Africans must have. And I'm not making a promotion here for the sale of that book, but it's a very comprehensive book. It's called The State of Africa.
Okay. The State of Africa. All right, get that book. I'm definitely going to put it on my reading list. All right, lots of hearts. Thank you for the love. Please keep. Wow. Bilal. All right, Bilal, we'll ask you a question. Bilal wants to know, who is the president at home? Is it you or your husband?
I mean, it goes without saying that, women take small decisions at home and men take the big decision. But women's decision, it's what you eat every day, what car you buy.
Sounds pretty big.
There's very small decisions,
Let's see. Khaled wants to know, what is your religion? He's asking.
I'm born Muslim.
All right, Khaled, you got a clear answer right there. If you love what you're seeing, I can see loads of hearts. Please share it. All right. I want to ask you, Your Excellency, one of the big questions that young people have been discussing, and people say I should ask you before we came on board, is what does freedom mean to you?
I just said freedom is the ability to say yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't make that connection,
Yes.
but fantastic. Okay. That is beautiful. Now, lots of people are asking you if you graduated from Pakistan. Maybe we should just settle this issue right now.
No, I graduated from the UK. I did all my 2 degrees there. But I visited Pakistan and I sent my students there to the University of Karachi. This is where my student went to finish some of the practical work at the HEJ Institute at the university.
All right, fantastic. We are almost out of time. So if you have any questions, please bring them in. We are live with Her Excellency, the President of Mauritius, and we're now taking personal questions. If you have questions about Mauritius, you're going to have to watch early in the feed. Louis, do you like the Beatles?
Of course. The Fab Four. They will always remain the Fab Four.
All right, frank answers to all your questions. Malu wants to know, what do you think is the best quality of a human being?
The best quality of a human being is selflessness. To me, that's the ultimate.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Nice and sharp. Rashu wants to know if you play any sports.
Well, I used to be a squash player, but...
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did.
Oh, wow, okay.
But now I think I'll just run to walking in the afternoon.
Matthew, you've been very, very faithful. Now, you say you're going to walk. Is it because you have no time? Is that...
No, but walking at my age, you
It's
have
pretty
to...
good,
Yeah,
yes.
it's pretty good.
All right. Matthew, you've been faithful and you've been there. Thank you all for sharing, by the way. And we have many new people.
Yes.
We're live with the President of Mauritius. She's taking personal questions, so please keep them coming in. Now, Matthew is asking a question I've asked myself. Mauritius is beautiful and you must come here. And one question that struck me as soon as I got here was, everybody comes to Mauritius on honeymoon. Where do people from Mauritius go on their honeymoon? And Matthew wants to know, what's your favorite country outside of Mauritius?
There's quite a few, actually, but those countries which have a lot of history, these are the countries I tend to visit. So there are many, many such countries. Of course, Africa is replete with countries where there is so much, of course, the history charge. So I'm fascinated by history, so I tend to go to countries that has, of course, this huge history behind. So there's, of course, many such countries.
Okay, that's a long list. All right, we're almost out of time. Her Excellency does have a tight schedule. I'll take a few more, then we have to wrap up. Noah is asking, in what ways do you see Mauritius as a bridge between Africa and Asia?
Through the people of Mauritius, because we are a mixture of Asian, African, European, and everything. And I think I'll keep saying this ad nauseum if I have to, This is our greatest strength. Our diversity is our greatest strength, and we have to work to make it work peacefully for all of us. And we have to get to know each other, because unfortunately in this period we are living in, we have started to make a business out of fear, and this fear comes from not knowing each other. And this is what we have to stop.
Fantastic, thank you. I said I'd take a couple more. Sharma seems to know Mauritius a little bit. Sharma is asking, what is your favorite part of Chateau Réduit? And can I visit and come and see you? All right, I'm not sure we can take the second part. Yeah. But what is your favorite part of Chateau? For those who don't know, I believe Chateau Réduit is the residence?
It's the residence.
The presidential residence.
But the best part for me is the garden.
Oh, okay.
As expected.
As expected.
So if he wants to come and share, it's accessible. He has to send an application form and visit.
Mauritius is open. Don't you love it? And transparent. There is a form. All right, so I want to take maybe one more before I ask Her Excellency to leave us with some closing thoughts. Nicholas is asking, how do you propose we can help the world to get rid of fear and support global peace?
Well, first of all, come to Mauritius again, so you live it. But I think we have to learn to get to know our neighbors. And you know what I've started doing here in Mauritius? We have, as I've said, many religious groups living next to each other. For every national holiday, or religious holiday, I bring everybody, at least the groups, of course, the various religious groups, to the State House to sit and eat together and drink together, so that we get to know each other. And this is the only formula. But learn to value, learn to respect. I think that's the fundamental part, respect. If you don't respect your neighbors, we are in trouble.
All right, we're wrapping up now, Your Excellency. I want to come to you to share any closing thoughts. You've been fantastic, frank, and open. And thank you for your questions. But whenever you're ready, the floor is yours to share any closing thoughts. Now, just let me know when you're ready. But yes. I just want to say thanks to all the people giving us love. Lots of people saying they want to come to Mauritius. So thank you. Should I give you the floor?
Whenever I address the youth, I ask them, and I make a plea to them, respect your institution. Be disciplined. And be disciplined in anything you do. And more importantly, enjoy what you do. Love it. Because if you enjoy what you do, you will not have to work a single day in your life forever.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Such wise words. Thank you for being so open. Thank you for being very frank.
Thank you.
Hopefully some other leaders will follow your lead. If the president of your country wants to do this, my name is Yemi Babington-Ashaye. I host a series called Shape the World. Get in touch with me. You can like my page and get in touch. If you want to give tips on how we can do this better, let me know. But this has been brought to you by the World Economic Forum. I hope you're following us. If you don't follow us, like our page on Facebook. And if you're here because you care about the world, we care about the world too. You can follow something called the Forum Agenda. It's www.webforum.org/agenda. And you stay connected on all the issues we talked about today, corruption and much more. And if you're watching this after the broadcast, it's not too late. Post your comment in the feed. We all keep watching and we all keep reading the comments. And everything you say helps everybody to shape the world. Thank you so much.
Hearts there.
Lots of hearts. Thank you so much. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
And come to Mauritius. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.